So the other thing I need to show you, or the main thing I need to show you, is this setup here. And it's really simple. When you get the kit in the mail, you're gonna have that piece there. Then this, that guy right there is gonna be in the Innovate set with the line. And then you're gonna have this piece all the way to there. And then that piece back there is your factory line, which was normally connected right about there. So you will need the quick disconnect tool. I'm not going to provide those. I believe it's a 3/8. I'll double check it, but it's a 3/8. And the trick is to kind of put it against that pipe there, and then push down. And as you push this in, you push it up, and then it'll get those teeth disengaged, and you can pop it down. Once you do that, fuel's going to go everywhere, so make sure you got rags and things like that. Now, when it comes to the pieces that I created for you or put together for you, you're simply going to install this. It doesn't matter which way you go, but you can see I did it with the, every time I put my finger there, it's going to unfocus. Actually, I could probably fix that. Hang on one second. All right, now it's on focus lock. So I did it with the words facing out, and it's real simple. This end on the far end, it unscrews all the way, and then you slide this onto the high pressure fuel pump, and then that piece has like, it's kind of U-shaped, and it goes right over top of it. And there we go, getting focus locking in. And so boom, you got that piece. And then the same thing over here, you're going to take the Innovate sensor. It has the same you know, kind of connection. I know this line's in the way, but it's the same thing. And you'll plug it in there and do the same thing. And then over here, it's again, let me zoom in. It's the same exact thing. It's just a different style. Now, personally, what I did is I assembled, dang it, lock. All right, there we go. I assembled this, and this out of the truck. Okay, I didn't do it all up there. And then that way, I basically had all three pieces ready to go. And then, you know, I disconnected this guy back here, the factory line, and I just plug this in, and then you got this whole thing all done. And then plug that in, and then boom, this is done, and you can start running your harnesses. Now, you could flip this over. There isn't a flow direction as far as I know, and in hindsight, it probably would have looked nicer flipping it over, but it was my first time, and I can always change it if I wanted to. But that would also relieve some strain on this wire set here, because the sensor would be on this side. But I wasn't sure if I was going that way or going this way at that point, so this is how it's been since, I don't know, February or so about 3 or 4 months, or yeah, about 3 months. Anyways, this right here really doesn't take long. The hardest thing you're gonna have to learn how to do if you haven't ever done it is to disconnect that that quick disconnect there. You'll probably have to buy a tool off of Amazon. Like I said, it's a quick disconnect for fuel lines, and you can get them at AutoZone or any of your kind of like auto parts stores. I think I got mine at Harbor Freight, honestly. I bought a few different sets, and they're just cheap. They just barely do their job. So anyways, that's the easy part of that. Sorry it was so long, but once that's installed, then you can run your wire. I ran mine kind of back here, and boom, goes into the firewall grommet like I showed later on in this video. All right, I need to make a quick little video on kind of how this is installed. Now, this is the older, the first mount. Well, it's actually a second generation, but it didn't have a big enough hole back here. I'll show you. So anyways, the real thing I want to show you is just kind of how it's wired up. It's hard to do with two hands, but to get these glove box out, you just push down here, and there's one on the other side, and then it'll kind of pull up towards you. Now I just got temporarily kind of wired up here, but it's real simple, guys. It's going to be this this red and black right here that are going to go to the for me, I just did the red to the red, and then the black and white together on the ground side, so they're on the basically the black over here. And that red cable, that red wire, sorry, not a cable, goes down here to an antifuse, and that comes in the kit. And you'll see that it's hard to tell. Let's see if we can turn that on. There you go. And then it's I gotta double check, but it's on the right hand side there. It's hard for me to see from the angle I'm sitting, but it looks like well, it's 23, 24. You guys can see that, right? It's above the 7.5 there. Yeah, maybe it's number 2. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3. That's what it looks like. It's across from 23, 24, 25. Yeah, it's across from 24. So anyways, that's the autofuse. And then you got your power. And then you also notice, if I zoom back out, that I did a ground right here. And you don't have to use the ground I did, but I took this little nut off. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The factory nut's still there, but there was a lot of head left. So I went and grabbed, I think it's an M8, and happened to fit on there, and I just put a little ring terminal on there. So that's how it's grounded. So it's just power and ground. This is ignition switchable, and I didn't want the gauge to dim based on my gauges on my dash, so that's why the white wire is with the ground wire, because it just grounds it. And so the gauge just comes on whenever I turn the ignition on. Otherwise, this purple red and black lead here, this is going to go out to the ethanol sensor. So this has to go like this, and I ran this down and under, and you won't be able to see it, but maybe you will with the camera. But it goes through this channel here, right up in here, all the way through to the other side, and then up over my pedals and out the grommet in my firewall. And you really have to run it the other way, because it's, if I'm not mistaken, there's the bigger attachment is on the sensor side, the big plug. So, you know, basically I did the fuel system, or the fuel lines in the bed, and then I took this side right here, this one, and I ran that in from the outside into the inside through the firewall. There's a big grommet. Hang on one sec, I'll switch to the other side and show you. Alright, there's a big grommet right there, and I had to cut a little hole slit in it. You really got to take your time. It's very hard to access from the engine bay side. I can't say it's hard to access, but it is difficult. So I did make a little slit, and then I was able to, I used a coat hanger, or I used, I have like an electrician's like fiberglass like snake thing, and I pushed it through there, and then I taped it up, and I pulled it back through. And then once it came through, then I went through to the other side into my glove box. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And then on the other end of that is going to be the piece that goes to the ethanol sensor, the actual sensor itself. Now, something I also forgot to tell you guys, which isn't a big deal, but when you drop the glove box, I've actually left mine removed, and really it was just so I can make this video, and I keep forgetting to. But there is a piece of felt, like a nice cover that covers this area. It's just a couple screws under here, and there's even a panel here. I'm actually going to go and put all that back together now that I've, well, actually I'm going to finish this wiring, because that's not how I want to leave it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and, well, after I get that done, I'm gonna tidy it all up, zip tie it all up, and finish that wiring up, and then it'll look really nice. On the gauge side, this is what you're gonna get. Now, you know, this right here, the gauge is really snug in there, and then I put this hole here, and unfortunately it was just a little too small for that black connector to go through, and that was my mistake. So this is an older version. The one that you're gonna get is gonna be larger than that, and it'll allow you to run the cables up through there, and then in this little notch, instead of having, and it's hard to do with one hand, instead of having this lead, you know, kind of come out the side when it's in the glove box, it allows me to run those wires up through there and then up in that corner. And when it's in that corner, it'll be real nice and kind of hidden in the glove box. And then if you want to, you know, really mount it, you can put some double-sided tape on either side of this and stick it in there. But I've left it like that for like a month, and to be honest with you, it's well, a couple months, and it doesn't really move around. So I didn't find any need to go and put a bunch of tape, double-sided tape on it. But you could Velcro it, you could, you know, whatever you want to do. It barely shifts around, but because it's pretty snug fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust that, and then I'll show you guys again kind of the finish, because I'm gonna go grab the new version with the bigger hole so I can run those wires through. So like I was saying, that hole is just a little, that hole's a little larger on this one. Same otherwise. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over to this new install real quick. Alright, you can see I actually took the Innovate mount and I cut off the wings a little bit so I could clamp it in a little better. I've been experimenting with different types of 3D plastic, I guess you could say, filament, and it seemed like the tolerances on this one are just slightly different, so the gauge is not as snug as it was on that unit. So I just took the, like I said, I just trimmed the tabs down, and then that made it so that the clamp that comes with it would actually work. And so now it's holding it, and the wire pass-through is happening. And so the idea is that once it's in there, we can put this over here, and now the wires come out the corner here. And so if you do, you know, like I said, if you put any kind of 3M tape or anything, this looks real nice and it holds the gauge real well. The gauge is not going to move. And then these are just going to wrap down, these are just going to wrap down over the backside, you know, of the glove box. And, you know, this makes it kind of a, what I call a no drill situation. You know, you could, technically, you could drill a hole in the bottom here and pass the cables out that way, but I like, I'm really for modifications that are completely reversible. And who wants to drill through this? I wouldn't want to, so that's why I did that. So that'll go, you know, like that, and you could probably zip tie it or something, but you probably don't need to. You're not going to see it up in that corner, and it still gives you the ability to release it with the tab. Sorry, my camera skills are not that great, but I think you get the idea. So I'm going to finish wiring this thing back up and making it actually nice, and then I can put it all back together. Alright folks, so now I've got that all reinstalled. You can see the ground wires back there. You can see it, so maybe I don't know, maybe I'd move it. There's another nut on the other side, a little higher up, a little harder to get to, but honestly, don't bother me. You got to be down here to see it. But I got the felt back on, plug the light back in, glove box is back in, and the little wire hides up in the top, and she's gone.